The book of Judith tells the tale of a brave and cunning woman who saves her people from destruction. Despite its compelling narrative and strong female protagonist, it was ultimately left out of the canonical texts of Judaism and Christianity. But why? Join us as we uncover the reasons behind the exclusion of the book of Judith. We'll explore its historical context, theological controversies, and the impact of its exclusion on religious thought. To understand why the book of Judith was excluded from the biblical canon, we first need to explore the historical context in which it was written. This chapter will take us back to the ancient world, where the story of Judith unfolds. The book of Judith is set during a time of great turmoil and conflict in the ancient Near East. Although the exact historical period is debated, many scholars place it around the time of the Babylonian exile or the Persian period. During this era, the people of Israel faced numerous threats from powerful empires. The story of Judith centers on the small town of Bethulia, which is under siege by the Assyrian army led by General Holofernes. The narrative of Judith is rich with historical and cultural references that provide insight into the lives and struggles of the people at that time. However, it's important to note that the book of Judith contains several anachronisms and historical inaccuracies, which have led some scholars to view it as a work of historical fiction rather than a factual account. Judith, the heroine of the story, is a widow who takes it upon herself to save her people. She uses her wit and bravery to infiltrate the enemy camp and ultimately beheads Holofernes, leading to the defeat of the Assyrian forces. The story of Judith was likely written to inspire and encourage the Jewish people during a time of oppression. It emphasizes themes of faith, courage, and divine intervention, which resonated deeply with its audience. Understanding the historical and cultural background of the book of Judith helps us appreciate its significance and the reasons it was cherished by many. However, these same factors also contributed to the debates over its canonical status. One of the most intriguing aspects of the book of Judith is its exclusion from the Hebrew Bible. The formation of the biblical canon was a lengthy and complex process that involved numerous debates and decisions by religious leaders. The term canon refers to the collection of books that are considered authoritative and inspired by God. During the early centuries of Judaism and Christianity, various texts were circulated and revered by different communities. However, not all of these texts were included in the final canon. The criteria for inclusion varied, but generally involved considerations of authorship, theological consistency, and widespread acceptance. The Book of Judith, despite its popularity and inspirational message, did not meet all the criteria for inclusion in the Hebrew Bible. One major factor was its late composition. Scholars believe that Judith was written during the Second Temple period, long after the events it describes. Another significant reason for its exclusion was its language. The original text of Judith was likely written in Hebrew or Aramaic, but the surviving versions are in Greek. This linguistic difference may have contributed to its exclusion from the Hebrew canon. Theological and doctrinal considerations also played a role. The Book of Judith contains themes and elements that were controversial for early Jewish and Christian scholars. For example, Judith's use of deception and violence to achieve her goals was seen by some as problematic. Despite these challenges, the Book of Judith was included in the Septuagint, the Greek translation of the Hebrew Bible, and was accepted by many early Christian communities. However, it was ultimately excluded from the Jewish canon and later from the Protestant Old Testament. The original language of the Book of Judith is a matter of scholarly debate. While some believe it was originally written in Hebrew or Aramaic, the surviving versions we have today are in Greek. This linguistic shift has significant implications for its canonical status. The Hebrew Bible, or Tanakh, was primarily composed in Hebrew, with some portions in Aramaic. The fact that the Book of Judith is preserved in Greek suggests it may have been part of the Jewish diaspora literature, which was more accessible to Greek-speaking Jews. The Septuagint, a Greek translation of the Hebrew Bible, included the Book of Judith. This translation was widely used by early Christians and played a crucial role in the spread of Jewish scriptures in the Hellenistic world. However, the reliance on Greek rather than Hebrew texts contributed to its exclusion from the Hebrew canon. Translation challenges also played a role. The process of translating ancient texts is fraught with difficulties, including variations in manuscripts differences in linguistic structure, and the potential for interpretive biases. These challenges can affect the perceived authenticity and authority of a text. The Book of Judith, like many ancient texts, exists in multiple versions with slight variations. These textual discrepancies can raise questions about the reliability and consistency of the narrative, further complicating its acceptance into the canon. The linguistic and textual issues surrounding the Book of Judith highlight the complexities of canon formation. While it was embraced by some communities, these factors contributed to its exclusion from the Hebrew Bible and later from the Protestant Old Testament. The Book of Judith presents several theological themes that were both inspiring and contentious. Central to the story is Judith's unwavering faith in God, which empowers her to take bold and decisive action to save her people. Judith's faith and reliance on divine intervention are key themes in the book. Her prayers and actions demonstrate a deep trust in God's power and providence. This theme resonated with many, highlighting the importance of faith and courage in the face of adversity. However, the book also contains elements that were controversial. Judith's use of deception and violence to achieve her goals raised ethical and theological questions. Some scholars argued that her actions, while effective, conflicted with the moral teachings found in other parts of the Bible. Judith's beheading of Holofernes is one of the most dramatic and controversial moments in the book. While it demonstrates her bravery and strategic thinking, it also involves deceit and murder, which were difficult for some religious leaders to reconcile with their understanding of righteous behavior. These controversial elements led to debates about the book's theological consistency. Some early Jewish and Christian scholars questioned whether Judith's actions aligned with the broader moral and ethical teachings of their faith traditions. The theological controversies surrounding the Book of Judith contributed to its exclusion from the Hebrew Bible and later from the Protestant Old Testament. While it was included in the Septuagint and accepted by many early Christians, these debates played a significant role in its eventual marginalization. The story of Judith is set in a specific historical context, but many details in the text do not align with known historical facts. These discrepancies have led scholars to view the book as a work of historical fiction rather than a factual account. One of the most notable anachronisms is the depiction of Nebuchadnezzar as the king of Assyria. Historically, Nebuchadnezzar was the king of Babylon, not Assyria. This significant error suggests that the author may have been more focused on the narrative than on historical accuracy. Additionally, the military strategies and equipment described in the Book of Judith do not match those used during the purported time period. These anachronisms further indicate that the story was likely written with a different purpose in mind, perhaps to inspire and instruct rather than to record history. These historical inaccuracies have had a significant impact on the book's credibility. For religious leaders and scholars who prioritized historical accuracy and consistency, these errors were problematic and contributed to the book's exclusion from the canon. Despite these inaccuracies, the Book of Judith was still valued for its moral and theological lessons. However, its historical unreliability made it difficult for some to accept it as an authoritative and inspired text. Judith stands out as a remarkable figure in biblical literature. As a widow, she defies the expectations of her time by taking on a leadership role and devising a plan to save her people. Her actions challenge traditional gender roles and highlight the potential for women to be powerful agents of change. Judith's character is multifaceted. She is depicted as devoutly religious, wise, and resourceful. Her faith in God drives her to take bold actions, and her intelligence allows her to outwit the enemy. These qualities make her an inspiring and complex heroine. Judith is often compared to other strong women in the Bible, such as Deborah and Esther. Each of these women played crucial roles in their communities, demonstrating leadership and courage. However, Judith's use of deception and violence sets her apart and adds to the complexity of her character. The portrayal of Judith as a powerful woman who takes on a traditionally male role may have contributed to the book's controversial status. In a patriarchal society, her actions could be seen as subversive, challenging the established norms and expectations for women. These gender dynamics likely played a role in the debates over the Book of Judith's inclusion in the canon. While some admired her bravery and faith, others may have been uncomfortable with her unconventional methods and the challenge she posed to traditional gender roles. Despite these challenges, Judith's story has continued to inspire and resonate with many. Her portrayal as a strong, independent woman who takes decisive action in a time of crisis remains a powerful and relevant message. Modern scholarship has brought new insights into the Book of Judith. Scholars today examine the text through various lenses, including historical, literary, and feminist perspectives, to better understand its significance and impact. Many contemporary scholars appreciate the Book of Judith for its literary qualities and its portrayal of a strong female protagonist. They analyze its themes, narrative structure, and character development, recognizing it as a valuable piece of ancient literature. Religious groups also continue to engage with the Book of Judith. While it remains outside the canon for many traditions, it is included in the deuterocanonical books of the Catholic and Orthodox Christian Bibles. These communities view Judith's story as an important example of faith and courage. In recent years, there has been a reevaluation of the Book of Judith's place in religious and historical discourse. Some scholars argue for its inclusion in broader discussions of biblical literature, highlighting its unique contributions and the lessons it offers. Feminist scholars, in particular, have found the Book of Judith to be a rich source of analysis. They explore how Judith's character challenges traditional gender roles and offers a powerful example of female agency and leadership in a patriarchal society. The story of Judith has also inspired numerous artistic and cultural interpretations. From paintings and sculptures to films and literature, her tale continues to resonate and find new expressions in contemporary culture. The Book of Judith, despite its exclusion from the Hebrew Bible and Protestant Old Testament, remains a significant and inspiring text. Its themes of faith, bravery, and the power of individuals to effect change resonate across time and cultures.